So execution essential number cinco, which means 5 in Spanish, is how to select the proper range of motion for the exercise. Most people think more range of motion is better. I gotta get a nice stretch when I'm doing the movement. It's actually the opposite. Typically speaking, the extreme ends of the range of motion in any exercise are the places where things are most likely to go south. So it's usually safer for you to just limit and cut off the very ends of the range of motion if you're having any doubt about it, or if you feel anything funky happening inside of you. Just limit the range to the middle 80% and leave the outer 10% on each end, kind of just out of the exercise at first. It is more beneficial for you if you can to move through the full range of motion if the full range of motion is being appropriately challenged, because you're honing in on all of the other execution essentials as well. But just doing more range of motion is not always better, and especially if you're thinking about trying to get more range of motion, I'm going to show you something on this machine that can definitely happen on any of these machines if you're trying to move things further than maybe you should be. So I would have myself set up in the right place. I would initiate through the correct muscles in my lats and my scapular kind of stabilizers, the rhomboids and such. And then my intention is to move this, move my shoulder blades up, and move my shoulder blades back down. I'm using the proper tempo, nice and smooth. But if I come down to the bottom of this motion and I get to the end of where it actually is, which is about here, and then I'm thinking more range of motion is better, I'll end up trying to pull it down further. You see my elbows come back, my wrists kind of curl down, because I'm just now trying to move the machine further, as opposed to moving my body and my arms and my shoulders as far as they will go, not moving the machine as far as it will go. Moving with too much range of motion can definitely get you into a little bit of trouble. So especially as you're just learning how to use everything for the first time or the first month or so, don't even try to force it into the ends of the range of motion. Move through what you can comfortably and safely. It won't always be totally comfortable because you're under lots of challenge and lots of load if you're focusing on everything else the way that you're supposed to. But where you can move comfortably, and if at the end of the motion you feel a little something going on, there's some crankiness or some crampiness or a little bit of crunchiness or just something that you're not super happy about, don't worry about going into that range of motion, just leave it out. Because oftentimes if you work through that middle 70, 80%, whatever it looks like, for a while, and you're doing that comfortably, then over the course of several workouts and weeks, you may be able to move into that range of motion that previously was a problem without it being a problem anymore. So when it comes down to it, more range of motion is not better. Better is just better. Don't fall into the trap of thinking the further I move, the more I'm going to get out of this. You want to focus on the contraction, move at the right tempo, initiate with the right muscles, intend on moving in the right direction on a machine with a proper setup that you are properly set up on, and move through the range of motion that you can accurately and comfortably in the way that you're supposed to based on how I've told you, but do not just try to force more range of motion because you think it might be better. And a lot of the machines, actually, a lot of the exercises, going through more range of motion on the machine may actually take the challenge off of the muscles that you're trying to, because you can only move on the trunk rotation machine, for example, a certain amount before your rib cage stops spinning and now you're moving the machine with your hands, which takes the tension off of the thing that you're trying to. So in general, just don't try to force too much range of motion. If you ever have a question about it, obviously ask me in open question time, office hours, or in our monthly one-on-one if you have any kind of questions about the range of motion. But when in doubt, just limit the ends a little bit.